Welcome to V-drumtips. This video is about building a custom E-drum rack out of an old Roland MDS-20 rack. The goal is to build a nice and clean looking rack with almost completely hidden cables. This MDS-20 rack offers already the possibility to hide the cables inside the rack tubes. But still, some cables are either too long or have to be let outside the tubes. And this does totally mess up the looks. Chaotic cable arrangements are a common problem with E-drums. Even the major manufacturers do not seem to have found a really good solution for this. There has to be a way to improve this mess. Another reason why I'm unhappy with the MDS-20 rack are the rack mounts that are not rectangular. The rack pipes are supposed to be uneven to give it a cool look. This is, however, the worst idea that anyone could have. It does not only look weird, it is also really complicated to set up such a rack. The most annoying thing about these unangled rack tubes are the attached cymbal mounts. They look like a plant. It is impossible to set them up parallel. The big grey mounts are also not nice and are just a design flaw in my opinion. Why would you highlight the rack mounts in such a way? You might ask yourself, why do I not just sell this rack and buy another one? Simply because no other rack has these telescope rack pipes. This is actually a really good feature of the MDS-20 and will improve the setup process. First I have to remove all pads, cymbals and the module. I marked the spot for the bass drum legs and the kick pedal with stage tape. Here you can see the mess. It simply is chaotic. So let's get rid of all mounts and clamps. I've already used some Gibraltar metal clamps, which are better than the Roland plastic ones, because they do not slide. Now you see all the cables and the supposed to be nice curvy look. The rack mounts are actually solid, but overall not very well engineered. It takes ages to open them, and if they are open, the rack falls apart. They do also scratch the color of the tubes, which is another design fail. The cable channels are a little bit too small for a big cable bunch, but I don't want to complain too much about these parts, since they are the first in-rack cable mounts. Now I have to remove all cables. I simply pull each of them through the rack pipes, from the angled jack cable end. These cables do only fit through the rack pipes in one way. Each cable gets bundled to avoid cable knots. Here you can see all the pipes. The telescoping feature allows an extension of the pipes of almost 100%. There is, however, a little downside of using the telescope pipes. The inner tube has a diameter of 38mm, which is the standard rack pipe size for all Roland and Gibraltar racks and their clamps. The outer pipe has a diameter of 42mm, which is bigger and can basically not be used for any common rack mount. The new rack clamps that I want to use are from Go E-drums. These T-clamps are available in black and silver color. You can buy them on eBay or Amazon. The link is in the video description. These solid metal clamps allow me to lead the cable through the rack pipes. They can easily be applied to any 38mm standard Roland or Gibraltar rack pipe. However, I cannot use them for the bigger 2mm rack pipes, so I will just turn the telescope pipes around. I removed the rack feet from the tin pipes and will later force them onto the thick pipes, which is possible because the rubber can expand. My rack will be really low on the right side, so I have to shorten the big pipes. I basically cut one of them into two halves with a metal saw. I use a file to make the edge even and to depure the edge. The rosette gets removed with a drum key. I simply bend this shell with a screwdriver to slide it over the plastic border. Now I can remove the plastic inlay. One of my pipe holes needs these two holes to attach the plastic part later on. I made them with my drill press and an 8mm metal drill bit. I simply reattach the clamp parts without the inner cymbal arm adapter. Attaching the rubber feet needs some guts. It is really tricky, but once attached, it will never be removed again. I made two legs out of one pipe. I might get them repainted later on. The longer pipes are assembled in the same way. And this is what we have. 4 new telescope legs with a smaller upper rack pipe. The MDS-20 rack contains 4 vertical pipes. I will only use 3 of them. This is why I only need 6 Go E-drum T-clamps. They fit the pipes perfectly and it is really easy to attach them. They can be opened with one wing nut only. I start setting up the center part of my new rack. The longer rack legs will be used here. I make sure everything is even by measuring the length of the legs. I do also use my measuring tool to make them parallel. I twist the vertical tube until the upper and lower distance is equal. Now I assemble the left rack part with the short leg, attach it to the center rack and measure again the distance from T-clamp to rack feet to make sure every vertical bar is perfectly horizontal. The same happens with the right rack side. The bass drum gives me an idea on how low I can go with the center bar. You probably know these rack pipe clamps from the Roland MDS-9 rack. These clamps can be mounted on top of a 38mm rack pipe and can be used to mount regular cymbal arms or other mounts with a 22mm diameter. I ordered them directly from Roland. An alternative is the Roland PCL100 clamp or the Gibraltar SC RBA clamp. Find the links for all parts in the description. I attach them to the center rack pipes. The pedals and the hi-hat stand help me to make some final adjustments at the rack before setting up the rest of the drum kit. I will not use the Roland rack mounts for the most part, since they are only made out of plastic and cannot carry my heavy drum pads. These Dixon rack clamps replace them. They are made out of metal and are as good as the Gibraltar clamps. These clamps can be attached to the pipes without dissembling the rack. I used them with a Roland L-rod for my second rack tom here. Rack tom 1 will be held by this Gibraltar tom arm. It is compact and very flexible, ideal for limited setup space. It does of course fit the Roland pipe mount. The other pipe mount on the right side will hold the boom arm for my center splash cymbal. The boom arm will hold another pearl multi-clamp and a straight cymbal mount for the second crash cymbal. I set it up this way to lead the cables from only a few centered locations to the cymbal mounts. The boom arm for crash 1 is also applied via Dixon rack clamp. The cable for it will later come out of the rack pipes at a specific spot. The right cymbal mount will also be applied with the same setup. All boom arms are originally from the MDS-20 rack. I will use one of the Roland clamps for the straight cymbal mount, since there's not much of a lever that can make the clamp rotate. Next to this another boom arm for crash 3, and besides the mount for one of the floor toms. The first floor tom is mounted by a Dixon rack clamp and a Gibraltar tom arm with a ball joint. My rack has still an open pipe on the right side. We close this hole with a Pearl NP338 plastic cap for 38mm rack pipes. The second floor tom will be held by an all plastic clamp. This clamp does not need much space and has a high friction to stop the L-rod from sliding. For now, I set up all shells and mount all cymbals. I spent some time playing the kit to make sure everything is adjusted perfectly. The rack will also receive a smartphone mount. I decided to buy this K&M smartphone holder since I practice with YouTube videos a lot. The mount is made in Germany and has 5 years warranty. It includes a pipe clamp, the actual smartphone holder, and 3 types of glass that can be exchanged according to the size of your smartphone. The holder has a button that opens the slide glass. Simply put your phone inside and close the clamp. This is a really solid solution. The body can simply be mounted to the arm and the arm can be bent, but will not bend itself under the weight of the smartphone. This device mount is not only for drummers, by the way. It can be attached to mic stands and other musical equipment. At this point I have to find out the ideal length of each cable. Therefore I just clamp the cable to the boom arm and lead it along the rack, as if it would be inside the tubes. The module has to be set up too, to see the exact way the cable needs to be laid. I measure the length of the cables and write it down for each of them. I mark 2 spots on the rack with a white marker, before disassembling the rack almost completely. One cable hole will be near the hi-hat stand and the other one is near the mount for the first floor tom. These holes will be used to lead the cables through the rack from specific places. I drill 3 holes with the drill press and enlarge them with a bigger drill bit later. Now I'm using a Dremel power tool to cut off the middle part. I use different types of files to make the hole symmetrical. The idea to drill the holes into the rack pipes is inspired by the owner of the Blackbird kit. Smaller files are used to grind the edges. The holes have to be big enough to fit the jack plugs and a couple of cables. The rack pipes can still be used normally, since the rack clamps can slide above the holes. Most of the cables I use came with the MDS-20 rack. Some of them need to be shortened, others extended. I do this by cutting them and soldering them back together. I'm using this wire stripper, which is one of my favorite cable tools. It is so simple to desolate the cables this way. Directly after cutting, I attached 3 big pieces of heat shrinking tube. The stereo cables contain 3 inner wires. 2 of them need to be isolated. I attached 2 small heat shrinking tubes here as well. My second favorite soldering tool is this cable holder stand. It costs only a few bucks, but it is such a time saver. I solder the wires with some soldering flux and soldering iron and slide the tubes over the open parts. The tubes get shrunk with a hot air gun, but you can also shrink them with a lighter. Now I solder the ground cable, which is now automatically isolated from the other 2 cables. I use some hot glue to give the cables more stability. The first heat shrinking tube will distribute the hot glue evenly. Some more glue and finally the longer outer heat shrinking tube. The cables are marked to make sure I won't exchange them. They are simply slid through the rack from the right side to the left, and always with the straight check first. Some of the cables will be slid through the custom holes. I use some stage tape to fix them in the meantime. The cables should have some slack at the visible locations. The first 10 cables can easily be pushed through the rack pipe, but as soon as the pipe gets tight through the number of cables that are let through, it becomes tricky to insert more cables. I need to build a device to pull them through. A metal hanger is ideal to be transformed into a cable hook. The hook works great and it allows me to lead more cables through the rack pipe. The cables are in place and the rest of the gear can now be reattached. Fixing the cables to the simple mount is possible with these K&M cable holder clamps. They come in 2 different sizes and are actually quite flexible. They are made out of plastic but can be bent widely open. I attach them in a way that the cables are covered by the metal pole. For now they still have some slack, since they are not connected yet. I used cable ties to bundle the cable bunch. I put back on the module and connect all cables to it. However, they need new labels. This is simply a sheet of paper with rows of labels printed to it. I use double-layered adhesive tape to make one side sticky and cut out the labels. I attach them to both cable endings. The module cable bunch gets bundled by spiral cable wire wrap. The power cable is not inside the tubes. I use 2 of those Thomann cable ties to fix it to the rack pipe. I reattach all pads and symbols and apply the smartphone mount. This holder is perfect for all regular size smartphones. It works with an iPhone 6 and of course with this Huawei phone. I've chosen this position for the phone since it is not possible to hit it with a stick there. The phone can easily be unlocked by pushing a button and the bendable arm is strong enough to hold even heavy phones. My hi-hat stand received a custom headphone drum key holder that is made out of rest pieces. Both my Audio-Technica headphones and my Roland drum key are stored safely. What I usually do when I rearrange my drum kit is cleaning the cymbals with some Dr. Keddo Rubber Cleaner. They look like brand new cymbals afterwards, and the treatment is really good for the rubber. That's it! My drum kit looks better than ever before. The cables are organized and hidden for most of the part. I simply love the look of a clean drum rack with no redundant parts and no cable chaos. Find all links for the gear and materials that I used in this video in the description. Please be aware that some of those links are affiliate links, which means that I get a small commission if you order from Amazon through my links. This way you can support my project without paying more money yourself. I hope this video inspired you to build your own custom drum rack. Thanks for watching and see you next time.